This is the 647th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting held on October 21st, 2016 at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007.
It's 10 o'clock. So
hang on. Let me get the recording. Okay, we're on the record, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. At this point in time, I'll call to order the 647th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting. Today is October 21st, 2016, and it is 10 a.m. So, Madam Secretary, can you please call roll?
Commissioner Garay?
Present.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner Heupel?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
We're present.
Okay. And as you can all see, we do not have speakers and microphones, so if any of you are having issues with hearing, please let me know and we'll remind everyone to speak up. At this point in time, item B, if there's no opposition, I'd like to move that to the end of the meeting so we can get through the other stuff. And if those who don't want to stay for that can move along, if that's okay with everyone. All right. All right, so the first item up will be C, new business. Number 1, Lapaz County Fair Association request to amend its approved race dates for fiscal year 2017.
Yes, this was needed because the original agreement had a January 20th date, which is technically a dark date for Turf Paradise. So as we checked the agreements and the dark days, they needed to be amended. So now is the new dates are January 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 29th, which essentially are 4 live race dates. So all the paperwork's in order, the Board of Supervisors letter's in order, so everything's good to go.
Any questions, discussion?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Item 2, Rialto Park Foundation request approval of fiscal year 2017 race dates.
Again, Rialto has a permit that runs through 2017. These are their 2017 spring dates. Please note that on February 17th and March 17th, those are Fridays, okay? Rialto has indicated they may possibly run a late post time. I have alerted them that there may be possible lighting issues, and we'll address it at that time, but everything is in order, and with that, I give it back to you.
So if they can't run a late post, will they run earlier? Or just
yes, they'll run an earlier post.
Any questions, comments?
Move for approval.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Item 3, TP Racing LLP request approval of charity race dates for 2016.
As you know, Arizona Revised Statutes 5-110 allows for 3 days for charity racing. Turf Paradise has requested November 5th, Friday, November 25th, Saturday, November 26th. All the paperwork is in order. They have supplied everything that they need, and we obviously recommend approval.
Any questions, comments?
Move we approve.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Next item up is D, information reports, Turf Paradise Race Course Safety Report. Great.
Safety is, for us, a number 1 priority with the division. Safety Steward Scott Waterman, who had other commitments today, typically will give this report, but I'll give it to today. Scott's the designated safety steward. Scott is well respected in the industry, but all state personnel out there are, as we meet, we look for potential hazards and safety issues. We meet weekly to discuss those, bring out security concerns, and as the need arises, we alert Turf Paradise management to those concerns. On any repair or issue, typically it's a 2-call process. That process is usually me calling Vince Francia, alerting him to the issue. And the second call is typically a return call from Vince saying that the repairs have been done or they're being scheduled, and if there's anything else that I need. I have to note that they've been very cooperative in this effort. Over the course of preparing for the season, meetings were held with turf management and security on protocols for the backstretch. An emphasis this year was on licensing and avoiding unlicensed personnel from having access to the backstretch. We've instituted a policy of a visible license, meaning that they have to have, anybody that's back there has to have a license on them. It's usually a clip. Some of them have lanyards, but we're looking for the license to be on them. So when our personnel are back there, and if they see somebody that doesn't have a license, they will ask them. Paddock security has ramped up in the paddock for unlicensed people who may use that access to gain access to the backstretch. A visitor's pass has been implemented, and we encourage all the trainers to, if they have owners that want to visit the backstretch, to contact either our department or security for the process of those passes. Again, security and track management has been very accommodating on this, and there is a working together atmosphere on that. In the general areas, paving, during the physical inspection this week, I went and observed the paving. I walked the entire barn area. Is it the worst backstretch? No. I've been to other backstretches that have been much worse. Is it the best? No. I've been to other backstretches, Saratoga, Churchill Downs. They're really top of the line. What I look for is continuous improvement, continuous addressing of the concerns, and that is being done. In my inspection, there were potholes observed, roughly about 6 to 10 that I would call emerging potholes, maybe 3 to 10 inches in diameter, and I've noted those. Other areas of the paving have been patched or maybe potential rough spots. They'll need constant supervision and maintenance. Drainage in the area in the K row, which previously was an issue, at 10 o'clock yesterday afternoon after all the horses were bathed, I took a look at that, and it appeared that drainage was not an issue. I take note that there is now a sweeper that clear the roads of debris, and that may mitigate those circumstances. Lighting, in the past, there's been adequate concern about that. At 4:30 in the morning, we have looked at the lighting. New lighting has been installed on a K row, which was previously mentioned that it was dark and dangerous. At that 4:30 inspection, the lights were on. There were a couple barns that had the lights off. We will address those. Lighting was installed and repaired in the south parking lot where in the past horse trailers have been vandalized. Visual inspection again at 4:30 that those were on. A walk through the barn area at that same time showed that many of the barns were lighted and adequate. New lighting has been installed in the receiving barn area as well. And again, we constantly look for the stuff, and we will address it as the needs when we see burned out light bulbs. As with your homes or any facility, you see that stuff, it gets done. Training track, I was there yesterday morning. The rails have been freshly painted. Looks to be well maintained. That is also an area that all of our staff will be looking at. It was noted yesterday that there were a couple exercise riders who were not wearing protective jackets. I'll address that with Mandy on that end. The regular track in mid-September, then Safety Steward Juan Estrada and myself did a visual inspection with Turf Paradise personnel of the lighting and the warning system. It all looked fine. It was in good order. Lights and sirens were working. Honestly, it looked like a Christmas tree out there. Outside railing was freshly painted as well over the summer. A meeting was held with Mandy Hagan, who's the outrider supervisor, and our state personnel, the stewards, security, on what the protocol was for when a loose horse was on the track, either in the morning or during the race. Everyone discussed what the protocols were. They came away with a better knowledge of who was doing what, and if that incident ever happened, what would happen. Again, As the state, we are always looking for those things. The track looks to be well maintained. Receiving area, the stalls are adequate for horses coming into Turf Paradise, and security was observed in place. Lighting was available, and there's no issue seen in that area. The L barn, which is the receiving barn, was inspected. Appears to be in good condition. Quarantine stalls, which are well positioned away from the horse population, and this was a new addition to the facility last year on the outbreak of the equine herpes outbreak. Looked fine. I did a visual inspection of the outside perimeter, meaning that I literally took a golf course and went around the track. I note that the oleander bushes on the 19th Avenue, they were being well maintained. They were cut down. As the season gone, they'll need to be trimmed. I did a visual inspection of the entire fence around the perimeter. There are some areas where potentially people could jump the fence, but it looked to be in good shape. Inspected the equine ambulance, well maintained, no significant issues were involved. Test barn, previous to the decision, test barn needed maintenance. There was a leak in the office from condensation from an air conditioning piping. Perimeter fencing was rotted away and had fallen. Holes in the ceiling in some stalls. All have been addressed. The walkway where the horses do their walks around once they come in needed new sand to mitigate the dust. Turf personnel provided a tractor and sand. Our state personnel did the job. They're satisfied with that. Inspected the paddock. Showed no significant issues. There's fresh paint on the stalls. The roofing that was indicated in the past has been patched. That's a constant visual inspection. Daily when there's race day or weekly. We discuss this. Overall, it's in good condition. General barn areas, several barns are well maintained by specific trainers, and you can tell who those are. Other trainers don't maintain their areas very well. Our state personnel are instructed to walk the barns to see any type of thing that they see that may be an issue. And again, we meet weekly. We're looking for roofing issues, anything that may give an issue that the facility may be in disrepair. As I give this report, you guys are taking my word that the backstretch is being maintained. It's a constant give and take, addressing the security concerns and making sure everything is in order. And again, safety for us is the number one priority. You're taking my word, but what I'd like to do is to invite each one of you, if you get the chance, to call my office, make an appointment, and let's tour the backstretch together. I can show you spots where there's concerns. I can show you spots where they're being addressed, and you can get a visual of what I'm talking about. With that, that's the safety report, and I appreciate your time.
I'll definitely take you up on that offer. In the meetings that you have on safety, is there somebody representing the jockeys?
There hasn't been at this point in time. The only thing we have done is with Mandy is the outrider, but I will contact the Jockeys Guild and Daryl and speak with them.
Okay. The next item is number 2, TP Racing LLC permit issued November 17th, 2015. Vice Chairman Feldmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I begin to bring forward my concerns about this, it kind of rolls into the report that Greg just gave us, and I'd like to make sure that I can refer back to that report. I presume I can and ask some questions, because this is directly related to that. When we met as a group in November of last year, so it's been 11 months, the commission did, on a 4-1 vote, issued the permit. My main concern at that point related to the reissuance was the drainage issues that persisted and the continual patching of the holes that existed in those areas, as opposed to doing a thorough job of resurfacing the area, correcting the drainage, and so on. So, Greg, if you don't mind, can you just reaffirm for me that has been done, or it has not been? I heard two things here. One's the patching has taken place, and that there has been some paving.
Are you talking about a total repaving of the property?
Well, I'm talking about the areas primarily around the stalls,
Right.
where the horses are, where they're washed and so on, where they've had drainage problems in the past, and where most of the holes have needed to be patched on a reoccurring basis.
Right. They are still being patched on a reoccurring basis.
Okay.
When I went through yesterday morning at approximately about 10 o'clock, which is typically in truth, the end of the day of the morning rush, there were no significant draining issues. There were no significant wide patches of water. There was a constant flow. Okay, so I took that there was an improvement in that area. But if you are asking if there's been a total repavement, that would not be correct.
And I'm talking about within that area in particular. I'm not worried about other areas.
Right, and I think specifically you were looking at the K row, or the J row may have been. I walked both those.
All right, I appreciate that, because it was my very clear memory that in conversations related to those issues 11 months ago, and in testimony from Vince, we were under the clear understanding that entire area that we have just now referenced was going to be resurfaced. The existing surfacing removed, the ABC removed, new base material put in, drainage taken care of, and new hard surfacing put down. And because my memory fades from time to time, I asked to have those minutes sent to me, and I've reviewed them on more than one occasion, and my memory, oddly enough, was correct. That commitment was made. And in fact, one of the parting comments was from my friend to my right here about, I've known Vince for a long time, and I'll take him at his word. So I'm not so much interested in indicting you, Vince, or anyone else. It's just that a decision was made based on what I believe was a commitment. When there was a suggestion of a condition that I thought would have worked very well. And now we're back to business as usual. Every year we patch, we don't solve the problem. And near wintertime, when the water doesn't drain as well and it's colder and it doesn't evaporate, then it does become a continuing, ongoing problem. Much the same way that I've heard our chairman discuss problems that related to dog tracks and that persisted. So I guess, besides me just flat bitching about it, I'd like to know, what, if anything, does the commission have in terms of teeth to reinforce the commitment that was made on the record?
All very valid points. I haven't listened to that commission meeting, and my memory as well. I'll have to redo it. I can tell you that the existing road there does not appear to have been resurfaced, torn up. It appears to be patched.
Well, then we got business as usual. The same problem has persisted, which was the point that I was making 11 months ago, and asking for the assurance that it would be resolved. We got that assurance. It didn't happen. We asked to make that as a condition, and the commission decided not to do that. So what's our recourse now?
Well,
Do we have a recourse?
well, if I may speak,
Go ahead.
based on the fact that permit was issued on a conditional basis, that they committed to get that remedy. Obviously, there's room for further conditions on it. I'm sure the commission doesn't want to halt the racing. However, if we get a further commitment from Turf Paradise to get this done as timely as possible,
And I appreciate that, but the thing that I have remembered hearing over and over again, legitimately, is that we can't do any repairs until the meet is over. And then when the meet is over, we return to the business as usual, which is patching the holes. And we don't solve the problem. And then we have another conversation like this, and it's put off again for another year. I'd just like to see something that's meaningful, besides the fact that we just get this commitment, even though it's on the record, that doesn't allow us the recourse that I think we need.
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, the issue was standing water, which was eroding the roads. It sounds like the standing water issue has been corrected. So as long as the water is not eroding the roads that are there, I don't know what's the problem.
Well,
I don't know why they need to be totally repaid.
I just suggest to you that you review the minutes.
Okay.
And and that's why I asked to have them become a part of today's meeting. And since I couldn't communicate with you to say, hey, I just hope that everyone would have had that opportunity.
Okay.
Greg, did you say in that report that they have purchased a piece of equipment that helps deal with it?
There is a sweeper.
It's a sweeper that is new this year. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's new or if it's used, but there's...
Okay. But it sounds like they've been patching. Are there still potholes that are dangerous currently? I guess is the question.
The existing potholes that are there now potentially could be dangerous to an animal, just as anything back there. I mean, and you know these are 1,200-pound animals on very delicate legs. It could be a pin from a wrap that gets loose that a horse steps on. So anything, a rough patch, could be potentially dangerous to the horse and the personnel.
Was it enough that in the report they indicated that it could be dangerous and need to be dealt with right away, or
This process will be dealt with. They'll need to be patched.
I think it would be good for us to go out. May have to be at different times, so we don't have
no more than two at a time.
Yeah, but go out. I've done it before.
Right.
I did it last year and went out and took a tour of the backside. But I think it would be beneficial to actually touch and feel and see what we're talking about.
Well, I think it may be beneficial to do it a couple of times this year. Once, like right now, it's like Bill mentioned, come winter time, it's going to be a little different with what the moisture is doing. So maybe I get it a couple of times this year.
Be more than happy to facilitate with you on that.
Do we get the golf cart?
Golf cart. But we got to walk too.
Boyd has taken me around before, and then ownership for the track has taken me around the backside, and I think it's interesting to see. I think everybody should see that.
And I would invite you to do it not only at Turf Paradise, but do it at Rialto and any county fair facility, because they're in play as well.
So then to kind of polish off this conversation, the director has suggested that we do have some implied, tell me if I'm wrong, but so we do have some implied authority that there was a guarantee that work was going to be done. Can we ask you to follow up on that and provide the commission with the direction?
I think Vince raised his hand and had a comment, so if you do, Vince.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Vincent Francia, General Manager of Turf Paradise. I wish to add to this discussion because, Commissioner, as with all commissioners, your concerns are legitimate and we address them. As Deputy Director Stiles mentioned, safety is a priority. The additional priority that goes hand in hand is security. Let me address the paving. Every year we do it, and we do it during the summer prior to the race meet, but it does not stop there. This year we spent $36,000 with Carson Contracting in doing the paving. And what we do is we go back with, once the bid is awarded, we go back with the contractor and identify the areas. The areas generally fall into one of two categories: a pothole or an area that has become uneven. And we look at those two areas because how it affects drainage. The drainage is very important as the water flows. And so we address those areas. Now, I've spent quite a bit of time these past couple of weeks in the stable area, and I noticed 6 potholes. Mr. Stiles has mentioned a couple more to me. Even as we speak, now the training is finished, they are being addressed. They are being filled in, and not with asphalt now, with concrete. So what I'm trying to emphasize here in paving, like any other safety matter at the racetrack, it's not something we address during the summer when the horses are not there, then leave it be. It is ongoing. I'm back in the stable area daily. I have staff members back there, and they report to me. If Deputy Director Stiles sees something, he calls. I get right on it. If a staff member sees it, we get right on it. So it's not as though there's a breakdown in communication. The communication goes on all meet long, even while the horses are there. The problem, and it will continue to be a problem in terms of the roadway in the stable area, and this year we addressed A through D, the 19th Avenue alignment, the area in front of the training track because that's heavy traffic, and K-roll. They were the areas that required the most attention. But the ongoing challenge with this is not only does it have to be done every year, but when the horsemen bathe their horses, and we've been able to get most of them to put mats in the bathing area. When they don't, and even when they do, the hoses run, they're constantly running, and I get that. I don't like to see the loss of water, but I get why they're doing it, because they're bathing and they're rinsing the horse. But then that water is falling on the asphalt, and it will create channels. It will create a small hole, which will grow into a larger one. It can affect the drainage. So we monitor this daily, and the reason being the horses and or the horsemen and some of their methods of bathing their horses and their use of water continually cause the problem. So the point I'm trying to get across, this isn't something we do during the summer, say, oh, okay, we've done the paving in the backside and leave it alone. It's daily. The potholes that I noticed along the north side of El Row, they're small, but small is dangerous to a thoroughbred. So there is no pothole that's too small, and so they're being addressed right now. More than anything else, I want to assure you that we are committed to any of your concerns, be it paving, whatever it is. We don't dismiss them. We hear them, and we act quickly. Thank you, Commissioner.
Vince, I have a quick question.
Yes, Commissioner.
Are there any statistics that you all keep as it relates to injuries to horses in the backside that may be caused by these potholes? Is there somebody report something to you?
Right.
If a horse steps in one of these?
Generally, that's how I get it, that a horse stepped into a pothole, and if that's the case, I mean, that's an immediate response. The other areas of notification we receive, of course, if there is an injury during a workout, and the obvious one if there is an injury during the race.
Anything else? Okay. All right, thank you. So now we'll move on to item 3. I did have a question on item 3. Should Tucson Greyhound Park still be on there? Because they are still a permittee. So I've added them online. All right, so we'll start off with A, and this is not to exceed 3 minutes. American Greyhound Racing.
I have nothing to report of my operations, but I would like to wish Turf Paradise a safe and successful flat meet.
Thank you. County Fairs.
I will be be addressing my comments with Arizona County's Racing Association.
Rialto, or thought I saw him back there. There he is.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, staff, Jay Wells, Rialto Park Foundation, and Rialto Racing. Thank you for the approval of the dates. We're looking forward to it. We've got a huge festival this weekend, Dusk Music Festival. They're expecting about 7,000 people and have an A-list lineup for kids. Not a bunch of music that I know of, but it's getting a lot of buzz in town. In any event, I did want to elaborate a little bit on our request for the Friday dates. This is not a first time that we've done a Friday. And we do believe that with the heat, etc., that having a late post time will allow us to possibly even run post Turf Paradise's closing in May and prior to their opening up. So we're really anxious to see the nighttime racing. Greg was a big help getting clarification that we do have the right to run at nighttime. And I want to make sure that everyone understands when we talk about a late post, the thoroughbreds races would be scheduled for the first part of the card. There's a time in the afternoon where the backstretch they're running directly into the sun. And in our first year that we did the Friday race, that was a problem. So what we've determined to do is the thoroughbred races early, followed by quarter horse races, which of course they're running directly east, so that shouldn't be a problem. And Doug Reed of the University of Arizona, he retired after 20 years of the executive director of the racetrack management program, has joined our board. We're very excited about that, to have his expertise. And so he's coordinating with the industry experts to bring in the proper lighting, etc. So we think this opens up an avenue for Rialto to do some novel things that have not been done. So we're looking forward to it. And again, thank you very much for your approval of our dates, and hope to see you down there next spring. Thank you.
Turf Paradise.
Briefly, Turf Paradise opened its 61st season on October the 15th. We improved our numbers, both attendance and handle, from the previous year, so we're encouraged about that. Currently, there are almost 1,300 thoroughbreds on the ground, and more come in daily, and the more the better. And we are currently in a 3-day race week, weekend racing of Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That will continue to Friday, November the 4th. That is the first day of Breeders' Cup, and then the track will shift into its regular 5-day schedule of Saturday through Wednesday.
This report that you gave all the commissioners on the impact, $91 million, very interesting. Good to see that we are helping out our economy.
Yes, all the business publications and radio business have been all over it in a good way, and we thought it was time to do it. The last time we did an economic impact was back in 2009. And I think because most people think of Turf Paradise at 19th Avenue and Bell Road, and you show up and you see horses race. Well, actually, the impact of that business is far greater than just people betting $2 on horses. And the window is 7.5 months. That's basically the race meet. And we are pouring $91 million into the Arizona economy. And that was the story we wanted to get out and get told, so that it doesn't go unnoticed that, like I say, you just bet $2. It's a little bit more than that.
Vince, do you remember in the 2009 report what the study showed? The economic impact?
It was I don't remember the exact. It was less than 91 million. And the report, as good as it is, does not take into account Turf Paradise as a standalone tourist attraction. The race course, in terms of attendance, still occupies the third slot in the state, behind the Diamondbacks, the combined attendance of Cactus League Baseball, then Turf Paradise with its combined attendance, and then the Phoenix Suns. So attendance-wise, we're right there with the major sports in the Valley.
Thank you. Tucson Greyhound Park.
Tucson Greyhound Park has nothing to say. Alicia Heiser from Tucson Greyhound Park.
All right, number 4, Optional Industry Stakeholder Association updates. Not to exceed 3 minutes, so we'll start off with the Arizona County Racing Association.
Good morning.
The ACRA.
Sorry, please identify yourself for the record.
Sorry, Sharon Dedham, President of Arizona Counties Racing Association. The Arizona County Racing Association in the last months we are in the last months of a very successful 2016 racing year. And if you excuse me, I've got my comments printed, so I absolutely won't forget anything. Graham, Santa Cruz, and Cochise counties enjoyed a total of 6 days of live racing. The partnership between each of these tracks, the ACRA and the El Moro Foundation, produced significant revenues for the host tracks, and also a group of very enthusiastic race fans and hundreds of energized horsemen who are already asking for our 2017 dates. Just thought I would put a few numbers together. Vince had some numbers for you. I've got a few numbers for you as well. I combined those 6 days, and after talking to the fair managers in each locale, I find that we had a total handle for 6 days of racing of $121,770. We had on-track attendance of 10,672. We had total purse money distributed for 6 days of racing of $248,875. But for me, because I arranged the jockey insurance, the real biggie is the last one. Ambulance transports for jockeys and other track personnel, 0. So we accomplished one of our main, it's always a task for us, is to make sure that everybody stays safe during our 6 days. And we were thrilled to be able to say that. Commissioners, if you will recall, one of the most important goals that we expressed to you at an earlier commission meeting was that this new model of county fair race meets would reflect a commitment to excellence. It was our intention to erase any leftover concerns about the quality of racing at Arizona County Fairs. We definitely had a number of very challenging moments at all 3 tracks, but those issues were resolved and we moved on. Considering the technological challenges we faced regarding electronic infrastructure after being offline for 6 years, it is amazing that the challenges were addressed and handled as well as they were. These issues were resolved quickly because there was a consensus among all of us that were there. And I think this was one of the things we all recognize, those of us that were in the management organization part of this, is that the county racetrack officials and our general manager, Karen Strong, is here this morning from Cochise County.
5 seconds.
Excuse me?
Your time's running.
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
Need to wrap.
Can I have 1 more minute just to finish, please?
It's up to the chair.
Can I
give you 1 more minute?
1 more minute. All right. We just wanted to share to you and extend our appreciation for the time and commitment that the ADR officials provided for county fair racing this year. The stewards were there to support our efforts and carry out their professional responsibilities with friendly but very serious attention to the issues that inevitably occur. Thank you for your continued support of county fair racing.
Thank you, and please pass along our deepest appreciation to everyone involved to get the county fairs racing going. It's very exciting.
Thank you. We will.
All right, B, Arizona Greyhound Association, Arizona Quarter Racing Association.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Loretta Brazier. I'm the Executive Director of the Arizona Quarter Racing. It's been a long summer, and it's nice to get back to racing. The quarter horses were out in force the opening weekend at Turf Paradise with our trials for 3 of our races, and we have 3 more planned for later on in the year. We have a big benefit coming up. Our golf tournament is coming up, and we'd like to extend, I know there's some golfers around here, extend the invitation for you guys to come and play with us if you want to. The rest of my time, I would like to thank Rialto Park and the county fairs. I commend you for the great job that they did last year. this new thing with Rialto, with the fairs, with the lights and stuff, I said, I hope I can see this in my lifetime, because it's exactly where we ought to be and exactly what ought to be done over there. And because the people come, and at the county fairs, if you could have seen, my hometown is Graham County, and I saw people I hadn't seen in years, because the communities come out to the county fairs, and that's what it's all about. That is exactly what it's all about. Turf Paradise runs for 10 months. We know that they're there and stuff. But the little bitty counties and Rialto, that's our grassroots, and that's where it's at. And I really, really think that they did a wonderful job, and I, for one, want to commend them. Thank you for your time.
Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association. HBPA.
Nothing to report this time.
Okay. Jockeys Guild. Right, I scratched Tucson out of there. So put it back to the committee reports.
I will.
All right. I'm gonna do E as well, and then we'll go to B. Is there a summary of term events affecting the Arizona Racing Commission? Anything? Identification of matters to be placed on future agenda. Okay, good. All right, now we get to go to B. It's a continuation of
F, call to the public.
Well, the only ones that are under for call to public are for item B.
Thank you.
So that's fine. So those of you who don't want to stick around for item B, if you go out leaving, we won't take offense. But anyone need a break, or just want to get right into it? All right, then take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to reconvene for item B.
This meeting is recessed at 10:41 a.m. All right, we're going back on the record at 10:49.
Do we need to do a roll?
Yes, please. So we have Commissioner Garay.
Present.
Commissioner Feldmeyer.
Still here.
Commissioner Lawless.
Here.
Commissioner Heupel.
Here.
Commissioner McClintock.
Here.
All present.
Okay. Now we're moving on to item B, Appeals of Director's Decision, continuation of the hearing held on June 28, 2016, August 24, 2016, on Jerry E. Sims' appeal to the Arizona Racing Commission of the Director's ruling to grant a racing license to Ronald A. Sims, case number 14A-020-RAC. All right, so we need to have...
I can call the public.
Oh, you want to go to do a call to the public?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go ahead and do a call to the public, and see, I think it's limited to 2 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, yes, 2 minutes. So the first one, where did I keep the list? Stacy.
This is Stacey Harrison on behalf of Ron Sims. I note that we have not seen the draft decision yet from the Commission, so I haven't had the ability to comment on it, and I don't know if we will. I have a few requests to make. First, that if there's been any communications by anyone on the Commission or their counsel with Jerry Sims or any of his representatives from NAP from the end of the last meeting on August 24th to the beginning of this meeting today, we request disclosure of that, since, as you know from our previous discussions, we think that that's important and required by the law that those disclosures be made. We also request that the court reporter's transcripts and videotapes of a series of meetings that have occurred since the time of the notice of appeal filed by the Jerry Group in August of 2015 be accepted by the Commission into the record so that it can be part of any appeal that goes up to the Superior Court or otherwise. And we also request that page 125 of Jerry's August 24th, 2006 presentation be stricken per your counsel's email, that material is outside of the record. I reserve my time to ask for, to put whatever the decision of the Commission is, to request a stay of it pending the appeal to the Superior Court under certain case law, but I can't make that request yet since the decision has yet to be issued. So those are my requests to be made, and I also ask for additional time to speak again when the Commission decision is issued so that we can further discuss these issues.
It's called to the public, so you can't take any action. You could renew her requests once we get to the agendized item, but at call to the public, it's just your opportunity to speak, and they listen.
That's fine. I really put it down as a protective measure because I wasn't certain if I would be able to speak during the actual agenda item, and I'm happy to come back up and renew my request during the agenda item.
Michael?
Hi, Jim Torrey for TP Racing. I don't have much to add. We don't necessarily object to including the transcripts in the records so long as it's clear that those aren't the official record. The official record is the actual recording. We assume the transcripts are right, but to the extent they are different than the recording, that's the official record. And the only other thing is, Stacey Harrison mentioned the possibility of a stay. There's no authority for the Commission to entertain a stay of the ruling. That's for the Superior Court to do. But since there's no motion, we don't have to deal with that now. Thank you.
And Joseph? I think it's Canefield. Okay. All right, that's everyone that was on the sign-in sheet. What do we need now? Just have some discussion on the...
We could go into executive session if you want to. We could deal with the preliminary issues first regarding the handout from last meeting. The request for the stay we could do after, with the decision, and we can also just go ahead and talk about the transcript for now.
The transcript with all the
yes,
all the video part of it.
The written transcript and the video transcript. We can discuss that now without having to go into executive session.
At first one, I think it'd be a good thing for that to be part of the record, so it's just all be set up together.
There is, if you look at the statutes for review action, it allows any party of a proceeding to either go back and listen to all of the recordings and submit a transcript. On the Superior Court level, it allows, if there was a transcript designated as part of the record, for it to be transmitted to the Superior Court. It does only talk about, it does not specifically talk about video transcripts. It assumes that they are written transcripts taken from a verbal recording. But I have, the request has been made from Ron Simpson's attorneys to make them part of this record. I have not reviewed them to make sure and compare them to the audio recording, but I assume that they come with all the proper affidavits that state that they are to the recording, and if there is an issue between what's on the transcript and what's on the recording, then the recording is still going to be part of the record no matter what. Does that make sense? So it's really up to you guys if you want to do the written transcripts that they have submitted and the video, or if you don't want to do the video as well.
And I have no problem with both of them.
Yeah, I don't either. I think they should have access to everything.
And also, just so you know, we haven't done the transcript or the videotape for today, but that is also part of our request, that what is recorded today, both by the court reporter and the videographer, will be submitted as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we need to take motion to submit that?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for submission of the video and transcript of our meetings or commission meetings.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Carries.
Okay. All right, do we want to go into executive session now? Or there was another item. Striking the page.
Oh, yes, we could address that now.
What does the page say?
It was that page, it was page 125, or labeled as 125.
I thought we had removed it from our stuff before
we would stipulate to that.
Yes.
Okay.
I move we remove it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yeah.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Carries.
I believe Ron Simpson's counsel also had a request that the handout itself be stricken from the record insofar as it contains argument, but Ms. Harrison can speak to that.
We are currently only moving to remove page 125 from this commission. Thank you.
I move we go into executive session.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yep.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
This hearing is recessed at 11 a.m. for executive session. This is the second open session of the 647th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting being held at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007.
Ready?
Okay, we are now back in session at 11:34 a.m. This second session is reconvened, and I will do a roll call. Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Here.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner Heupel?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
We have our quorum back, and we're ready to go.
All right, the first item I'd like to take care of is, and we can only speak on behalf of the commission, or each commissioner can only speak on behalf of themselves, but I would like to poll each commissioner in regards to if there's been any ex parte communications with, and please correct me if I don't get it all correct, Jerry Sims himself and or his lawyers.
His representatives.
His representatives, okay. And that would, so I'd like to do a roll call on that and have each commissioner answer whether they have or have not.
Okay, Commissioner Garay?
Have not.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
No.
Commissioner Lawless?
I've had several social interactions with Jerry, but no ex parte communications regarding this case.
Commissioner Heupel?
None.
Commissioner McClintock?
Same as Commissioner Lawless. I've spoken to Jerry about opening weekend at the track, but nothing about the case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item would be for us to.
This is Stacey Harris on behalf of Ron Sims. Can you, Commissioner Lawless, expand upon your social communications with Jerry Sims during this time period?
Yeah, I sure can. I see him at the Armadillo Grill. They have OTB near my house. And, it could range from who do you have in the next race kind of communications and what have you. I also had dinner with Jerry in a group setting. The issue of any of this did not come up at that. It was purely social.
And about how many times did you see Jerry or talk to him in this time period?
I probably saw him a couple times a week at the OTB.
And Commissioner McClintock, if you can expand upon your communications with Jerry or his representatives, that would be great.
I just inquired about how opening weekend went at Turf Paradise, just to see how the attendance was and the handle and how the racing went, because I was out of town.
About how many times did you speak?
Once.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is I think we should have a review and discussion on the draft commission decision and order.
Motion and then go into discussion, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, do we want to make a motion and then go into discussion, or have discussion first?
Motion, vote, then discussion, correct?
Okay.
Well, no, they can deliberate before they vote.
Okay.
Because there might be some changes or...
Yes, they can make the motion. I think there's not a perfect order, but you can make the motion, deliberate, vote.
Okay, Camilla, correct me if I screw this up.
Okay.
I move that we accept the findings of fact and conclusions of law as prepared by Camilla and Chris with the following changes. Finding of fact 6, we want to add a cite to Mr. Mangrum. We want to accept the modifications made by our legal team to the finding of fact, paragraph 20. As far as the conclusions of law, we want to include paragraph 10 as prepared by Camilla and renumber paragraph 10 of conclusions of law to paragraph 11.
If you could also, this is because we did make a motion of pulling the other findings of facts and conclusions of law in the last meeting. You guys voted on it. These are in addition to those.
Right. In addition to those findings of fact and conclusions of law from the last meeting.
I'll second. You want to do discussion first, or
If you want, I could summarize the additional pulling of the findings of facts, or you guys can do it. But because neither party has seen the draft, because we're still working on it.
Okay.
I'd be more than happy to summarize exactly what the changes were.
Well, this is Stacey Harrison again. Would it be easier for each side to get the draft before there is a vote?
I mean, we consider it at this moment work product. Typically, drafts of the order do not go out to the parties prior to the commission signing it. It is based on everything that the commission deliberated the last time, and for you guys to have the opportunity. I mean, it's up to the commission whether or not they want to release it, but it's not up to me to release it. But we are more than happy to talk about why finding of fact 6 and why finding of fact 20 was pulled in addition to all of the other findings.
Well, a summary isn't always the same as being the actual words. I mean, I think it may be easier for everyone if we can actually just see what was prepared. It sounds like the only changes that were made substantively were to paragraph 6 to add Mr. Mangan, some changes to paragraph 20, and something to paragraph 10 in addition of paragraph 11. But since we don't know what that is, it's hard to determine, what's going on. So I would request that we each get to see a draft, all parties, and then we can go from there if that's acceptable to the commission.
We were very explicitly advised at the last hearing that there would be no input from council. Council would not be speaking. We relied upon your instruction in that regard. So seeing a draft, I guess is no big deal, but we're not allowed to comment on it. That's what you told us. And we came here prepared to listen to you, watch you deliberate, and vote. And that's what it must be limited to, because that's what you told us the ground rules were before we arrive today. Frankly, I don't think we need to see this draft until you're finished with it.
I tend to agree that we should give them findings product versus our draft.
Yeah, given that we're not going to have argument on it, and I agree with Mr. Manning's assessment of last meeting. I didn't expect to hear from the lawyers at all today.
I agree that there should not be argument. The only difference is there's additional changes that were not part of the deliberations of last meeting. So now we don't know what those changes are, and we need to understand better what your deliberations were, hear your deliberations with respect to these additional changes that did not occur at the last meeting.
They are going to deliberate on those right now.
Okay.
But so that you understand what they are deliberating about, it was my suggestion that I just briefly summarize what the changes were to finding of fact 6 and finding of fact 20. Although finding of fact 6, the only addition is the addition of Mr. Mangum's name. There is some wording changes, but because it referred to the tribunal, because the ALJs referred to the tribunal, I changed the sentence structure so it says that the parties also submitted portions of the deposition testimony. It lists everything that the ALJ's decision listed, and then it adds Mr. Magnum's name to it.
All right. So and that's part of the deliberations will be what the changes are to paragraph 20 in the conclusion of law. Thank you.
You want me to summarize 20?
Please.
Okay. So once we drafted the proposed findings of facts and conclusions of law based on our last meeting, we found that the current finding of fact 20 presented some issues of continuity, and we wanted to add certain citations to it. Chris can speak a little bit more on it as well. But that was the main reason for pulling finding of fact 20.
Yeah, basically it's to make sure that when you plug all the findings that are being modified into the ALJ's decision, that everything reads consistently and makes sense and is consistent with your decision.
Yeah, we do have what the finding of fact.
Okay. No, what the
They're looking at the ALJ decision.
Original ALJ decision. 20. This is also stated somewhere else. 22, right?
Yes, and that was
just
part
clarifying
of
20.
Right. That was part of the issue, is that once we put in our the new findings, we found that 20 just didn't provide enough continuity in the findings of facts. We tried very hard to make sure that we didn't add findings. We did have to end up adding a conclusion of law, but we wanted to make sure that the transition between the ALJ decision in this final order was as easy to comprehend as possible. So there aren't any additional footnotes in the findings of facts. All citations are made within the finding itself because we didn't want to mess up the numbering of the entire decision. So things like that. So 20 just makes it more.
Conclusions of law 10.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions on 20?
No, I'm okay with 20.
Summarize 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've done 20, so we'll summarize 10.
Commissioner Lawless, did you make the motion for conclusion of Law 10?
Yes.
Let's do the findings first, if you could amend your motion, and then we'll do another motion for the conclusion.
I move that we accept the findings of fact with the addition to finding of fact 6. To add Mr. Mangrum and the modification to finding of fact 20 as explained by Camilla.
Second. You want to vote on that one now?
You can deliberate.
Any deliberation, discussion on those?
It just clarifies it.
Yeah. Adding to number 6 is pretty easy. And 20, I like the way it reads. I think it's a lot smoother. So we need to vote on this one before we can now move to the next one.
There's been a motion in a second.
Yeah. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. And Mr. Chairman, I'm voting no, just as a part of my objection that we're changing the direction that the ALJ and the director already delivered. But I'm going to reserve my detailed comments for later.
Okay. Taking the poll, Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
No.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yay.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
So we have 4 ayes and 1 nay.
And then now we're number 10.
Yes, conclusion of Law 10.
Conclusion of law number 10.
I move that we include the inclusion of paragraph 10 under the conclusions of law, renumbering number 11 thereafter.
Do I have a second?
Yeah,
Second, I'm sorry.
Do you want to?
You want me to summarize? You
Summarize.
guys want to summarize conclusion of Law 10? You want me to summarize
Yes,
it?
please.
Okay. The new conclusion of Law 10 talks about ex parte communications, and it basically, because findings of facts 49 through 56 discuss those conversations, the communications, we felt that it was appropriate to add a conclusion of law in the decision regarding them, and it basically states that that such communications were not determinative of whether or not there were other violations of the racing statutes and regulations.
I thought it was well worded.
Yeah. I'm satisfied with it.
This is Stacey Harrison. I just have to note that this conclusion of law is completely new. It It was not something that was part of the deliberations at the last meeting. So if you're going to do what you're going to do with it, but we have a formal objection that this was added not in the public forum and hasn't been discussed in the public forum.
Well, we are discussing it now, and I think it does with facts 49 through 56. It does add some clarity as to on the ex parte communications.
I make my objection. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything to add to it?
I mean, you guys don't have to accept it, but
I'm 50-50 on it.
no.
11 becomes 12.
11 didn't exist.
Yeah.
So old 10 becomes 11.
So 11 used to be 10.
Yeah. This used to be 10.
Yes.
First draft. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
And we did make changes to 10 because you did pull it the first time around. You pulled it last time or the time before.
As much as I like it, I don't know if we really need to have it. But I just want to thought.
Well, have we not deliberated on that in the past? Was that not an issue that we've talked about?
I would have to review the transcripts, but I mean, we did go through each finding of fact and conclusions of law.
Yeah, but what
there
about
was extensive
Stacy's comment that this was not discussed?
This is a
new addition?
This is a new addition.
Well, you can have, because this matter has occurred over a length of time, there has been more deliberation than what is probably typical, but in other administrative proceedings, you hear the appeal all in one day. So you have you hear argument, you decide how to whether to accept, reject, or modify an ALJ's decision. You talk about it. The Assistant Attorney General goes back to their office, his or her office, drafts the findings of facts and conclusions of law, sends it out to the chair to sign, and it's done. So, yes, there has been more discussion on findings of facts and conclusions of law in the order than what is.
But that's why I didn't object to the addition, is because it seems like we've hashed this out, deliberated, or discussed what's in the conclusion of Law 6 many times over the last year or year and a half, or however long this has gone on. And that's just a culmination of what we decided, isn't it? Or did, if it truly, if it truly adds something new, then I think.
Doesn't 11 cover?
My thought is, it says see findings fact 49 to 56, which we've not brought into here. So my question is, why would we then be addressing this something new for 49 through 56 that we're not?
It's up to you. It's absolutely up to you. We thought that the ALJ decision didn't. It talked about those. It had those findings, and then it didn't have a conclusion of law that corresponded with it. And this was just more for, again, for continuity. Yeah. It wasn't for. It wasn't meant to to really add anything to the discussion that has not been discussed before. We went back and listened to the deliberations from last meeting about this issue, and we thought this reflected what your position was. If it doesn't, we'd be more than happy to take it out. It's not determinative.
Well, that's my understanding too, and I follow my counsel's advice, I think.
I'm okay with it as leaving it in.
Well, I just wanted to say it's your decision that you're working on now is your decision based on everything you've read, everything you've seen, everything you've heard, every argument that's been submitted. There's no requirement, and your counsel can advise you on this if she has a different position, that every sentence be vetted and discussed in front of both parties. You're the judges. You make the decision based on everything not just what you've heard, but what you've read. But this was discussed at the last, I can't remember whether it was the last hearing or the hearing before that.
Yeah, I vote to leave it in.
We've discussed this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Again, for the same reasons provided earlier.
If you could now renew your motion, just to over clarify, we need a motion to deny the license.
The final order.
The final order.
I move we accept the final order and authorize chairman.
Well, you didn't have a vote on this one.
Oh,
yeah, we still needed to
We
do the
haven't.
roll call.
We haven't done the roll call yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer,
No.
Commissioner Lawless,
Yay.
Commissioner Heupel,
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock.
Yes.
4 aye, 1 nay.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I move that we adopt the final judgment as prepared by Camilla and authorize Chairman Garay to sign on behalf of the Commission.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Was that okay?
I was getting...
My motion was to adopt the commission decision in its final form and authorize Chairman Garay to execute on behalf of the commission.
Once these changes are made.
Once the changes are made,
Right.
yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
And at this point in time, I do believe you have.
I have my reasons for objecting to this, and y'all bear with me. I'll just explain to you that I've over the number of months that we've worked this through, although I haven't dwelled on it with the exception of being at these meetings, I have processed this stuff, all this information, and I just sat down yesterday afternoon and wrote up 6 points why I felt that it was important to retain the decision that the judge made, as well as the director, when the director endorsed that decision. So bear with me as I go through these with you. First, I'm still uncomfortable with the fact that Jerry Sims is aggrieved. I don't see it. I didn't see it before, and I still don't see it. Number two, that after the lengthy hearing with the ALJ, he provided numerous reasons why Ron Sims should receive and issued, in fact, that license. And three, Director Casillas endorsed and let stand that decision by the ALJ after his review. Number four, 12 years ago, after the ownership of Bruin became a moot point, until former Director Walsh denied Ron Sims' racing license. Director Walsh's denial was encouraged by Mel McDonald, who was employed by Jerry Sims. 5, it's my belief that this has been a witch hunt all along, and it's about Jerry Sims doing whatever he can to prevent Ron Sims from getting his license. That's what it comes down to. 6, I also believe that both Commissioners McClintock and Lawless, after reviewing this information over this period of time, it would have been cleaner and clearer had they recused themselves some time ago. Trust your judgments. That's just, I think, a result of it would have been a lot. It would have been a lot easier. I'd also say that our chairman's contact with Mel McDonald also cast a shadow on these proceedings as well. For those reasons, I voted no. As a matter of fact, I'm not done.
Make sure I can call roll. So, Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
No.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
4 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay. Thank you. Again, thank you for everyone who.
Mr. Harrison has one more request. Housekeeping for the stay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
So, your counsel at the special action in which we challenged jurisdiction and standing had made a comment to the court that we could request a stay of this decision pending our appeal to the Superior Court, which we intend to file under a case called Meta, which requires us to simply establish that our client has a colorable claim on appeal and that the balance of hardships are in his favor to maintain a stay. I think that we have established before this commission that our client at least has a colorable claim. While you have voted to reverse the ALJ decision, the ALJ determined that that there was no substantial evidence to support the denial of Ron's license. So at the very least, we have a colorable claim. And as for the balance of hardships, there is absolutely no harm to any party to stay your decision pending appeal. Ron remains licensed with his new license for a period of time, and the only harm is to Ron for his reputation. So in order to make it absolutely clear that we are exhausting our administrative remedies on this point, whether we need to or not, I am requesting that Commission vote on and stay its decision pending the appeal to the Superior Court.
So a stay would take it back to the ALJ's decision.
Correct. The director's decision deferring to the ALJ decision. It would still go up on appeal.
Director Casillas, not Director Walsh.
Yeah,
Director Casillas, correct.
Yeah, what good does a stay do you, Stacy? You're going to appeal, whether it's off a denial by us or if we're stayed. I don't understand what the benefit is.
Well, the benefit is the status quo remains, which it would be the Director Casillas' deferral to the ALJ decision, which, if for no other reason, is helpful to Ron in terms of reputation. I mean, to have a decision out there that it calls him, I don't know exactly what your decision is going to say because I haven't seen it yet, but I presume it's going to talk about how he's told different things under oath regarding Bruin. And he's a businessman in a community, and he's entitled to have this heard by the Superior Court before this decision is deemed to be something that goes out there. If you stay it, then there's benefit to his reputation.
So
ultimately.
It stays kind of hidden through this.
Well, obviously in the appeal, it'll be that you voted this way, but it won't be a decision that's enforceable in any particular way during the appeal.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Jim or Mike, since we allowed Stacy, who's still confused.
There's no basis for the commission to issue a stay. You've issued your order. Your order is what it is. They now have their appeal rights. Either they can ask you for a rehearing, or they can go to the state court and ask the state court for a stay. But there's no basis to do this. Nor is there, as Commissioner Wallace pointed out, any good reason to do this. I mean, if you deny a license, you deny a license. There's no reason to stay the denial of the license. Moreover, it's a little outrageous that they're doing this on an oral motion now. If they want to try to file something, we haven't had any time to think of this, any time to look at it. They have never brought this up. If they want to try to file something that's not authorized and you're inclined to consider it, then we can respond to it in writing.
Well, wouldn't the proper forum for Stacy to go to the Superior Court and request emergency stay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not sure it's within our purview, Stacy, to issue a stay.
Well, can we even issue a stay when the order has not even been signed?
Well, and frankly, as far as I know, we're in the call to the public section, where all we're allowed to do is comment, and even the order, the schedule for the meeting says all we can do in this section is direct staff to study the matter or reschedule the matter for further consideration as a later date. I don't think there's any legal mechanism to consider a motion at this point, nor should one be considered, because it's just not proper. She should bring that to the state court.
Well, I don't think we're in the call to the
but it was
section. I think we're back on B, aren't we, on the agenda?
Okay, but in any event, it's an oral motion in front of the commission like this is not the proper way to do it.
I'd like to make a motion.
Sure, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the stay.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No. I'm not voting.
You might as well be consistent.
Roll call. Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
No.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
4 aye, 1 nay to deny the stay.
All right, so the next item is the announcements. The next regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting is tentatively scheduled to be held on Thursday, November 10th, 2016 at 10 a.m. here in this nice cold conference room.
I move we adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye.
Walking road.
All right, thank you, everyone, and hopefully see not all of you next time.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 12:09 p.m. on Friday, October 21st. 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 October 21st.